Were we up there?
Yep.
Okay, good evening. I call the workshop meeting of the Town of Rochester Town Board to order. Stand for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, the clerk, do the roll call, please.
Councilman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Allen. Here. Councilman Paddock.
Here.
Councilman Keith is absent. Supervisor Biddy.
Here. The town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. We're going to amend that to add discussion of agricultural committee. Discussion of model building code. Something else I had to add. And we'll be adding a executive session with our attorney to discuss particular candidates for boards and commissions.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the first order of business is adoption of local law 2023. We held the public hearing on this. It is as was presented with no changes. So I'd ask for resolution, Town of Rochester Town Board adopts local law 2023. Local law 1. What did I say? Oh, local law 1, sorry. 2023. Local law amending chapter 128 taxation. Go to Town of Rochester, request the town clerk file notice with the New York Department of State.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next, local law 2. Resolution, the Town of Rochester Town Board adopts local law 2 of 2023 as was amended. A local law amending chapter 128 taxation of the code of the Town of Rochester. We should say as amended at the whatever that meeting date was. 4th. We did the resolution to amend. I think it was our regular meeting, January 4th. 5th?
Or was it the organization?
No.
The third one.
Okay.
You don't have to put as amended because you already amended it.
Okay, never mind then. Okay, so it will read then as written. Town of Rochester Town Board adopts local law 2, 2023. Local law amending chapter 128 taxation of the code of the Town of Rochester. And request the town clerk file notice with the New York Department of State.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Kate, I'm gonna just get these to Jeremy to get to real property tomorrow because they needed to get that information, but you can just let Jeremy and myself know when it's officially adopted.
Okay.
This way they can at least start working on the changes for the exemptions. Next, this is a request to circulate an RFP. This is the RFP for the courthouse bathroom. So let me present the resolution and then we can discuss. So Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the supervisor to circulate the RFP for the design and construction of a single ADA bathroom in the Town of Rochester Justice Court as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
So, okay, discussion. So this is the same RFP that we have put out the 2 other times that we did. The difference is I put a date of February 8th, Wednesday, knowing that our workshop meeting is Thursday, February 9th. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
It's after tax time. We would open them at 3:30. They have to be received by 3 p.m. It is, other than the timetable on page 2. So questions would have to be submitted by February 1st. I would answer them back by the 3rd. And then the bid deadline would be the 8th. Then at the 9th, we could decide on the bids and offer a contract. If we choose to, then there's a month time frame for approval of contract negotiation. And then we would give the notice to proceed on March 9th with completion done by July 9th. New York State is aware that we're doing this. They have allowed us to hold the money over. Judge LaPlante has officially asked them. They have agreed to it at this point. So they emailed us and said, what's going on? And we said, well, we're going to try a 3rd time. And they said, okay.
Is there any reason why such a quick turn, since we haven't had a lot of luck getting them in?
Mostly because they're going to lose their patients sooner rather than later. And we did have 2 different vendors inquire. And I said, don't give me a quote. I can't accept the quote. It has to be in response to an RFP. They both assure me that they are going to submit one, and I will, once we publish this tomorrow, I will let them know that it's out there. And hopefully this time they will respond. Both local contractors have no idea where the pricing is going to go. The one thing I did do for the expediency is we had originally done this at best value. Scoring all that with the judges is going to take a lot of time, so I just eliminated the best value section.
We have to accept lowest price.
Well, lowest reasonable price. So, so if the lowest price does not look realistic, we don't have to accept it. So if we don't accept lowest, so we have that.
Yeah, you have to, if you decide to accept it, it's got to be the lowest responsible bidder, but right. But if you don't feel that any bids that or proposals that come in are doable, you can reject them all.
I just think that adds time.
Yep.
Because if we get them, then we all have to score them. The judges have to score them. That's going to add another week or 2 weeks to the process. We're either going to do it or we're not going to do it this time. If we don't get it done this time, we're giving them back.
Where is that language? Lowest response.
Mary Lou, it's in our procurement policy, but it's taken out of state law. I just don't.
Yeah, and it's actually lowest proposal. It's not a bid.
Yeah, actually, we should
The
change the
proposal.
language of the resolution because this is not a request for proposal. This is an RFB, request for bid.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, because we're asking for a sealed bid, not a proposal.
So it's in state law and in our procurement policy.
Do you know which part of state law? Like which section?
Not off the top of my head, but I can look that up for you, Michael.
Just curious.
Our procurement policy actually references.
I think our,
Where it is
does.
by statute, so, yeah, you can find it. I just don't remember. I think it's in general municipal law, not in town law.
no, it's not in town law, but it
Then it's
could be in,
general. So any questions or discussion on that? We have 30,000 from the Justice Court. So all in favor as amended to change to RFB instead of B?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Renewal of racetrack permit. This came in before Christmas and slipped through the cracks and did not get to,
Yeah, partially that's my fault because he asked me to type the schedule for him and I did. And I asked him to review it, and then once he reviewed it, Chris just filed it. And they went out of sight, out of mind.
and then I saw him and I said, hey, I thought you were doing your schedule. And he said, oh, I already turned it in to Kate. So it would have been on our agenda at the fifth meeting. There's a
Right.
copy for Charlotte. I didn't-
Alright.
So this is the annual racetrack permit that we renew, or review. If the board wants, instead of reading the entire resolution, we could say as presented. If you wish, if you want me to read it, I'll read it. Board have a feeling one way or the other.
I mean, I take a minute and you can
Read it?
read through it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna read the application.
No, so recommended resolution, Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the racing permit renewal to Ackworth Speedway Incorporated pursuant to Town of Rochester Code 1074C, and all other conditions as specified in Town of Rochester Code 107. Such permit is authorized only contingent upon presentation of the following proofs to the town prior to commencement of the 2023 racing schedule. Each year, an Ulster County Health Department permit shall be required for all food concessions on the track premises as a condition of precedent to obtaining a permit from the town to operate said racetrack. The applicant shall provide proof of compliance with Ulster County Health Department regulations as they pertain to lavatories and septic facilities as a condition precedent to obtaining a permit from the town to operate said racetrack. Liability insurance, the permittee shall at all times remain in full force and effect a public liability insurance policy in amounts not less than $1 million for damages in which one person is killed or injured per occurrence, and not less than $2 million for damages which more than one person is killed or injured per occurrence. Certificate of insurance naming the town of Rochester as an additional insured must be filed with the town clerk at least 5 days prior to the first date of racetrack usage specified in the permit. Said certificate shall bear the name of the insurance company, the policy number, the term of the policy, the above specified amounts, and the name and address of the permittee's insurance agent. Permit holder shall deposit with the town clerk $1,000 for the town code enforcement officer's use in hiring an independent sound expert to perform sound measurements and issue reports to the town board and the code enforcement officer with respect to the permit holder's compliance with the noise requirements of this chapter. Actually, that should say chapter 107. Not this chapter. I got to paste it from the law. The amount is for one testing. Should additional testing be determined to be warranted for such said measurements, which may be taken 2 times during the racing season at the sole expense of the permit holder, an additional $1,000 shall be required at such time. Additional measurements above 2 obtained by the town during the racing season shall be at the sole expense of the town. Town board grants the supervisor the authority to review and certify these conditions have been complied with without further resolution. Town board further accepts the racing schedule as presented for 39 actual racing dates and 25 potential rain dates. Rain dates listed as rain dates may be utilized only in the case of replacement of a rained out approved event date. Town board further states upon verification with the code enforcement officer that no outstanding notice of violation issued by the town and required sound testing for 2022 occurred. So I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
If you guys want to check my math and just double check the counts. So the left side is the schedule, the right side of the rain dates. I came out with 39 and 25. You just wanna
That's
say-
what I came out with as well.
Okay. And I did verify with the code enforcement office that There are no notices of violation, and the sound testing was done in 2022. And then the others will come in as it gets closer to the season, with the health department approvals and all that. The insurance certificate, you just reach out to him?
He usually brings it in.
Okay.
Usually doesn't much.
Okay. So, any questions on that? He did say to me he is likely not doing the house construction. He did not put the dates on. That company has decided not to continue doing business with them. And they also don't like to do a same location more than 2 or 3 years in a row anyway, for marketing purposes. So what he said, he wasn't even going to want to try to replace it. So, no service. He's content with what he has at the moment. So he's got a lot on his. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And thank you for doing that at a workshop meeting. I just wanted to get him. Didn't want to put him off another 2 weeks. No, so just you can let him know that.
I'm going to interrupt you, Michael Coleman. I
Yeah.
looked up this section and I did know it off at the top of my head, but I didn't want to say it. It's General Municipal Law, Section 103.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We are at discussion. What I'd like to do is actually start out real quick with the agriculture of this committee that Aaron proposed, even though it's taking us out of order, because I think it will be a best discussion, and we can discuss whether we want to put this on the agenda for February.
Yeah.
So she emailed you copies, but here's a copy of it.
I need to step back for 5 minutes. I do have comments on this.
Do you want to speak to
Keep
someone
going.
else? Okay, here's a copy. Copy for you. So, Aaron, let me give you the floor, and if you, Mary Lou, I emailed this to you as well, right? Or no, I don't know if Aaron did.
I had it. Yep.
You have it, okay.
Somebody emailed it to me. I've got it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if you want to present it, and then
Sure.
I have a couple of comments.
Yeah, sure. So this is a draft resolution to create an agricultural advisory committee. So it'd be similar in type and scope to the housing advisory that we just created and populated this month. We have had this on the agenda a couple times as a town board and hadn't really moved on. I think now that we've done the housing committee, I think we're ready to make this into what we think it should be. I think it's also a great time to do it because we hosted a information session based on agriculture. There was a lot of enthusiasm about this idea, and I have people that are already wanting to apply and volunteer to be on it. So it's nice to be able to fulfill, get while the going is hot, as they say. So this is actually, I looked at a bunch of different resolutions from other towns. I took this from another town. I made some modifications. I already thought of a couple things that I left off. So basically, it's a standard kind of boilerplate where we are recognizing the value of agriculture. We can add anything in those introductory paragraphs. We want to maintain the agricultural nature and rural nature of our town. So it's good to say that. And then I basically, some of it's placeholders because I wasn't sure exactly where the town wanted to go. So I put in 5 to 9 voting members that of the people who make income from agriculture. We can adjust that if we like. Most agricultural advisory committees I've seen that are actually doing work have had ex officio members that are from cooperative, from land trusts. So we don't have to have any town board members or planning board members on it, but that was something I wanted to include because I noticed that it was very common and I can see the value in that. And then the details of the terms. And then the charge is on the back page. The thing that I think are most important is that it's a referral committee for town zoning changes, and then also that we can request suggestions. And then also a committee that also is a sort of a, where's the one where the community, sort of a community group that can also help to promote and protect agriculture through other means that the committee deems necessary with outreach and programs. A lot of communities do farmland protection plans, and that would be something that I would want us to perhaps in the future charge our agricultural advisory committee with, but I didn't want to necessarily make that specific because I thought that fit in some of the bullet points. So that's sort of my thinking. This is a rough draft. Some of it was placeholders, and like I said, there's a couple things I already thought of that I thought should change. So I thought maybe if people were ready, we could go through it and then I could make changes, or people could send me suggestions and I could rework this however you guys want.
I think if the board wants to, I'd like to go through it tonight, maybe not get real in depth in it, but there's a couple things that I'm interested in what other people's opinions are. I have a couple opinions on a couple things that I think, would help focus where it goes.
Mhm.
And Mary Lou, I don't know if you have any comments, but do you want to just sort of start and go paragraph by paragraph? And
Sure.
see if there's any comments is that okay with everybody rather than jumping around?
I'm gonna just pull up my Word versions, I think.
That's fine.
Okay,
So the opening paragraph makes sense to me. I mean, we could probably wordsmith it a little, but if anybody has that opinion, you probably do, Michael.
I only have to do my,
In the first paragraph, or?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
no, it's just, I just said, managing, the last sentence, management of town's natural resources for farming and farming related enterprises and practices.
So for farming
Yeah, resources for farming and farming.
instead of
related-
through.
Right, and enterprises and practices.
Farming enterprises and practices. I like those ads.
Yeah.
I think it says it better than through farming, or just define, it makes it stronger.
Yeah.
Second paragraph.
I think we can just say the town, right there, we say town of Rochester. Town of Rochester.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, what we could do is at the top where we say the town board of the town of Rochester, just put in parentheses town. And then we can, from that point on, we can just say the town.
Just trying to shorten, get that
Yeah.
match book.
Yeah. So instead of saying town board of the town of Rochester, we say town. So paragraph 2 then, just with that change, otherwise. And we could. If you want to just go through, Aaron, and figure out where you can shorten town of Rochester to
Yeah.
town.
I think I did it in some places and not.
Yeah,
others. I did a find replace.
Yeah, I'll let you handle that part. Paragraph 3, any,
Just an extra develop before agriculture. To promote agriculture and agricultural.
oh, yes. Don't need it, right? Paragraph 4 makes sense to me. That's what they do. So, Mary Lou, if we form this as an ad hoc committee to start with, well, similar, I guess, what we did with recreation down the road, if we decide, hey, this is really working and we want to codify it, we can do that, right? Okay.
You can.
5 to 9, I think, is a little broad. I would rather say, you know, if we're gonna say a range, say like 7 to 9, or, you know, it should be an odd number to start with. I think 5 is too small. It's too encompassing. You want to just start with 7? Or do you want to do 7 to 9?
I think Erin said she'd put it in that way so you could discuss the number, not that she meant 5 to 9.
Yeah, that's what,
yeah,
that's what we're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to set number?
I
You
want
want
to
a set number?
you know, the range, we've done range sometimes. I don't know. I guess if it's not a full board, you can still function.
Yeah, and being that it's an advisory board that serves at the pleasure of the town board, you know, I don't think they have to have a quorum then.
It depends if they adopt their own rules, they could do that. So they tend, I would say the ones I've seen tend to be a little larger. So on the 9 spectrum.
What I don't want to do is set 9 and then go, oh, we only got 6
I know,
people
me too.
apply.
That's,
So
you could say 7.
you want
could
to
say
start with
7 to
7?
9.
We can start with 7, and if we get a lot of people that apply, we can go, oh, you know what? We want to amend the
It's
resolution
just
to
a
9.
resolution.
It's a resolution. So you want to start with 7?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. One is okay. I just don't know how they prove that.
Right, I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I also don't think we should limit the committee to people that work in agriculture. We don't require people in housing committee to have like a housing background. I think there's a lot of people that would be beneficial to this committee that might not.
Yeah, but this committee is supposed to be people that have a farming expertise to
Yeah.
advise the town board.
Well, so we could do a minimum of X amount of its members have to meet the requirement.
We could just say, we could take out the actively earning income.
Yeah, because that's.
Because we could say voting members from the agricultural community or related enterprises. I think that's,
Yeah, I think we want them to have a background in farming because there's an awful lot of people who have opinions about farming that are garnered from social media. You know, everybody is
this-
complaining about the price of eggs these days, doesn't know what it costs to go into making those eggs. So,
but also just to be, you know, from however maybe we should say, to participate in agriculture or agricultural related enterprises. Because that could be a homestead. It doesn't have to be.
Can we say who participate or have expertise, training? I don't know, maybe expertise is the wrong word, but you know, somebody could be very knowledgeable. Somebody could have a degree in agriculture and be knowledgeable, but not actively participating in it. You know?
Right. Have
Intimate knowledge.
experience in agriculture.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I mean,
what do you
so
think?
Why don't you just say having agricultural, it just went out of my mind, whatever I was gonna say.
I mean,
Um,
Well, since
an agricultural background.
since we interview with, you know, the members anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody came in and they were just completely devoid of any substance, then we wouldn't put them on the board anyway. You know,
Yeah.
so I would imagine the people that we interview, the strongest candidate would have a strong background. That would be our decision to put them on. It would probably be unnecessary to have language.
yeah, like ideally they would be, but let's say somebody has like a huge background in planning, you know, about town planning, but they're not specifically agricultural planning, that might be a valuable voice to have. Maybe. That's why I was thinking maybe we have like a percentage or, you know, at least a certain amount. But again, the interview process is the opportunity to kind of
Yeah,
manage to get through that. I don't know, we could start.
I
with-
guess they think there should be some knowledge of some knowledge of agriculture. It's just having experience in planning. Agriculture is very specific. You know, Aaron can speak to it. I can speak to it a little bit, having grown up in it, but I by no means claim to be an agricultural expert.
And we would put you on board.
Well,
And what kinds of people apply for positions?
I do have, 55 years of being the chairman of the Dutchess County Fair Vegetable Company.
You want to interview, we'll see.
You're also on those committees.
They're not actively earning income. so
That's
usually-
true.
Well,
Well,
we already agreed.
we agreed to take that out, so. But I think you should have some background.
I'm
I
trying to
don't
think of
wanna turn
knowledge
people
that we,
No,
there's language we've used for other committees where it's suggested,
Yeah,
not.
preferably have. an
Preferably-
agricultural background.
but bear in mind though, we're hearing from people that we're not hearing, with these codes that we're not hearing from the agriculture. Community. So I think this is supposed to be advisory to us, to advise us on agriculture.
And it's
So-
not the only voice that, I think that's the word. Not the only, we're not only gonna refer things to. We
It's
have
like
a
the
voice.
HPC,
I mean, we just had conversations, yesterday about other boards that require expertise, but other candidates don't have valuable input. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have more candidates and then the boards can figure out who makes the most sense from an advisory perspective. Because I don't know what other knowledge groups there might be that would be beneficial from that perspective. Maybe you want somebody who knows environmental law or something because they're gonna be a
Maybe somebody-
counterpoint.
Somebody who's on DEC or something like
Yeah.
that.
That may not be an agriculture. Yeah, I'd rather have more people able to apply.
well, you wanna try to work on it? and see
I
what
think
you
I'll
come
try to work on it, though I do not agree.
I'm more inclined to lean for there.
I think what I,
Charlotte.
well, you don't know.
Call it that?
I think taking I think we can be more suggestive and not say that you have to be actively earning income, because there could be people who are in a family, but they're not actually the one doing the work.
Yeah,
But
grew up on a farm.
they totally get the stuff, that would be fantastic. So I'll work on it and then. if we
Yeah, you
wanna-
kind of have, if you're going to apply, I know this is not a job. If you're going to apply for a job, there's minimum qualifications. You have to show a minimum knowledge. Just the average person walking up the street, I want to be on the ag committee. Yeah, we don't have to put them on, but why are we gonna bring them here, interview them?
Well, if we make it flexible, then we're still allowing people to apply and then we could, that's the other thing too. You don't have to interview everyone who applies. You can get 20 resumes and look through them and be like, okay, well, only these.
Well,
7
actually,
really-
this board has always had the policy, we changed our policy, but our policy has always been to interview any new candidates for boards.
No, I'm saying we've had times where we winnowed down the amount of people that we interviewed. Right?
Not for board or commission,
Not for
for
board or
a paid position.
Oh, okay.
That's important.
Yeah.
Not a volunteer. board of commission.
Mhm.
And we've always interviewed every
That's
person
like the housing.
who asks.
The ECC, do we have anything that they have to, a background that they have to have to serve on that board?
No, well, there's probably,
Other than a,
I think they're just given a charge.
given a charge. I think it does say, because they're based off of the state's laws on conservation commission.
So they don't have to have expertise or knowledge of the state law. Right?
No, I mean, the layout of that committee. is based on the state
Oh,
laws. Yeah, that's pretty formal.
If we make it open-ended, the board can decide.
Why don't we let Aaron tweak it and see where it goes? 2, I'd like to take out the town planning board. I
Yeah.
don't mind, and we could say one member of the town board may serve as a non-voting, not shall.
I'd want to take them both.
I agree, Michael. This is
That's true, we're gonna have a
a
liaison.
committee that's gonna advise the town board.
Good point.
And
Yeah, I feel great about it.
Okay.
I feel so happy.
I'd like to take from the additional ex officio members, I'd like to take the Grower Association out only because to be in that, or most people that are in that are active farmers and could be members of this already. So why are we gonna make them an ex officio member? I can definitely see the value of a Cornell Cooperative Extension or a local land trust person. You know, who may not be a member, or may not be a resident of town, but by virtue of their county position, but I don't see the value in putting a member of the Growers Association.
I mean, it's a May, so if the town doesn't want to do it, they
Yeah, I think what I was thinking there was more like an employee of that organization who might, but they can attend the meetings.
Yeah, I kind of thinking of the county's ag group that reviews ag districts. And they have ex officio members, but the ex officio members are, it's a member of the legislature, it's the county planning director. It's, you know, they're people that have functions in
Right.
the process. And admittedly, they have a very specified role in that
Yes,
they're making recommendation to the legislature for approval of properties, but, and there's somebody else in the county, soil and water conservation is
Yes.
an ex officio member
Yeah.
of that, which I think is very, you know, insightful.
Yeah.
But I just,
I'm okay taking it up.
I think it calls, you know, yes, I'm a big, you know, I still can say that I remember when Bruce Davenport walked into every town board and said, give me $500 to start this and I'll never ask for money again, and he never did. And that's what started, he went to every town, 209 corridor, and I remember sitting there the day he did it, said, this is a great idea, but I just don't see the value of having one of them as an ex officio.
Is there any other additions we want to add?
Cornell is great. You could say the county planning department because one of their members specifically deals with agriculture in the county.
I mean, do we want to just say generically, local agricultural organizations, local land trusts, Cornell cooperative extension?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think naming them by name, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, do we want to, you know, and I was thinking of members, not so much employees, because I don't really, do they have employees too? Other than their director?
Or VGA?
Yeah,
They have a couple.
okay.
Yeah, actually they have. Yes, they
I
do.
mean, they have their sort of managing director that I know
Yes,
gets it.
they have a couple.
Well,
But,
you want to work on it and see.
yeah,
I think naming
Maybe I'll look
Cornell
at it.
Cooperative Extension by name is
yeah. Local land trusts and other.
because they could also, the committee could invite somebody to make a presentation on it, the topic, rather than being the next issue.
Oh, look, there's a couple of very strong agricultural advisory committees that have ex officio members, and I'll look up
Okay.
who they are
Yeah.
a little bit more so I can compare them.
Because I think, like, county planning, you know, county planning department member who, it's like the housing committee, we're gonna, you know, we'll utilize the services of the county planning department employee who's dealing with the planner who's dealing with housing. We definitely will utilize his services. I can see this committee utilizing the services of the county planning. to do
Yeah.
That. So he's become very knowledgeable on the county impacts.
Yeah. And he was at our meeting.
Should we say, shall designate the chairperson annually after the first, you know, first meeting is kind of a meet and greet, and nobody really, yes, in this case, most of them probably don't know each other, but I've seen some committees when they're not used to working together, have a few, they just sort of have well, the one I'm thinking of has a rotational committee chair, that each member chairs one meeting, and then they pick who they want to be chair.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
all
saying
of a
we
sudden
should do
say
that.
here is that they get to pick their own chair. So however we want to.
Okay, well, we can allow them to do that.
Their own.
The committee shall designate the chairperson. That's all you need to do.
And then the term, I honestly wasn't, I have no attachment.
I think at 3 years, I mean, it's an ad hoc committee, so we can, the town board can dissolve it at any time. I think 3 years seems reasonable. And the way you have it set up. Now that we said it's 7, you can sort of just, you can be a 3-2-3 kind of thing.
Right.
Um. So onto you ready to move
Yeah,
on?
my next comment's all.
Okay. So the zoning changes. That's fine. The only problem with 1 and 2, if, further down, you're saying they should meet no less than 4 times a year. The 30 days isn't gonna work
Right.
if they're not meeting monthly.
Right.
Now, obviously, if there's no referrals, then it doesn't matter. I'm not sure how I feel about the planning board referrals. Because ag and markets laws are pretty cut and dried already. It's a little different than historic preservation laws, but I don't know.
So I rewrote a few of those. 1 and 2. So can I read what
Yeah.
actually it was more like review stuff, but. So for 1, I just said review of proposed zoning changes that may affect agricultural operations or lands within the town of Rochester when referred to the committee for review. So basically, the board can submit it to them. And then the committee shall have 30 days. But it's not whenever, I don't think you need whenever a proposed local regulation is presented to the town board, I think. Review of
Oh, it does say May.
Okay. But I think we can cut that
Yeah,
out
just
and not change
Making it
it.
shorter.
I mean, I think zoning changes that affect agriculture, absolutely, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
This board is advisory to the town board, and that's why I'm not so sure about it. Because agricultural, once the zoning is set, it's pretty cut and dry.
So, yeah, item 2, I just said the planning board may refer applications that might impact agricultural operations and lands to the committee.
I think that's better, just giving the planning board the option to use them as a tool, but not saying they have to.
Right.
Because also, we don't want to give this committee sort of oversight over the planning,
No.
their advisory. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're
I mean, she
establishing
has them
it
there
already.
as the planning board sees fit.
Yeah.
It is a May in there.
Well, and I think that was the gist of 1 and 2 was these are actions initiated by the town board or the planning board.
Mhm.
I don't mind if one is a May, because if we put together a committee of experts, then we're hearing from the ag.
Right, well, that's why I said when referred, so it's not required that it be
Right.
referred to the
No.
town board.
Yeah, I just worry that can be used. I'm not saying this board would, but future boards may use it as a, well, I'm not gonna like their answers, so I'm not gonna refer it.
Mhm.
I think the town board zoning changes. I would say, so I would take it another step too, the land use code changes, because subdivision could impact them.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think it should go to them. And not be in there. just like we
We'll just
refer.
take out that affect agricultural operations.
Yeah, I mean, I like your shortening of it, but I think one should, my opinion is one should happen in all cases.
Yeah. So we're taking out, it would be the second. Not the first.
Or change the second may to a shall. Town of Rochester shall be referred to May first. So,
And I would change zoning to proposed land use code changes.
Yeah, I.
But two, I like the way you did it, Michael. They can be used as as an advisory to the. I also wouldn't want the planning board to utilize it to hold up the review of an application too.
Yeah, that would be my
You know,
concern.
if you're gonna add another layer of review, it's already being reviewed by the county planning department. It's being reviewed, following through with seeker.
you want to leave it as a may, that they may refer it, but then shorten the response time from 30 days.
How about we just say the committee may,
Planning board may.
well, no, I'm saying the committee may advise the planning board on particular applications at the request of the planning.
Oh, so you don't want the planning board to be able to refer to that.
Instead of a referral, well, that's what I'm saying, at the request. So the committee may advise the planning board at the request of the planning board on particular applications.
How did you say it might go again? What was
The planning board may refer applications that might impact agricultural operations or land to the committee. Then we shall have 30 days. to respond. So we could shorten the
Yeah.
response time.
Yeah. No, the 30 days is you need to have that. In there. I'm okay with that.
Well, and if
I'm
they,
okay with
if they
that.
refer them to all those organizations, and they all have 30 days to
Yeah.
respond.
But that's all voluntary. I mean, that's all. And I'm always one to say free information.
That's something I'm not aware of. Is there a requirement when the planning board decides to refer out that they refer to all the committees they want to refer to at once? So you
Nope.
can't do 30 days and then refer to another one for another 30 days.
Well, so usually referrals are done during the seeker normally. It's not that they're tied to seeker, but usually there's involved agencies and interested agencies. Involved agencies are agencies that you must send. Interested agencies are ones that you think they can give you expertise, so you send it to them. I guess.
Yeah, but
Mary- Yeah, no, but
That's only for a type 1, which we rarely have.
that's true.
So,
It
you know-
must be referred to the Ulster County Planning Board by statute in certain circumstances. That's a must. And it must be referred to historic preservation by New York State historic preservation law in some circumstances.
I guess what I'm asking, is there any way to like daisy chain referrals together as a delaying tactic? Is
Well,
there something that protects applicants from people doing?
I can tell you, they generally will do, a whole bunch toward the beginning. Say we have this application, we want to send it to the fire department, the historic preservation, depending on what it is. But there could be a time that they're having a public hearing and a member of the public brings something up that they had not thought of. And they might say, wait a second, we have to refer that out to a certain committee or expert, but they didn't know it until the public hearing.
the
So
short
I-
answer to you. I'm
I
sorry.
can't say that I've ever seen them do that as a delay tactic. And if they did, somebody would have a real good Article 78.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There are lots of Article 78 case law that I've read where what you're describing has happened. And unfortunately, in many times, you can't bring in Article 78 until a decision is arrived at. And when the decision is just being delayed down the road, but also from the time a planning board receives an application, once it deems it's a complete application, they have to act within a certain number of days unless the applicant agrees to extend it. So that's why you normally get all your info at the same time.
So there are protections.
Yeah, there's protections, Could it be done? Absolutely. Is it likely? Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Depends on the situation, so. I don't think you need the 30 days in there, but it doesn't hurt to have it, but because it's kind of a voluntary referral. if-
Yeah, but I like to have it because that prevents
Yes.
the planning board from saying, we don't have it from them. I really want to hear from them.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
that way
okay,
it sunsets.
okay.
Fine.
Then if that's the case, then Michael's language works. Hey, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
3, I think we should change protect. So I changed protect to promote, but then I have an issue with, or a question about promote later on. So I just don't know if protect is. the
That's
right
like-
word.
Preserve?
Yeah, we could say preserve. I just don't,
Yeah,
I know people sometimes get sensitive about.
yeah, protecting. Yeah, it's a strong word. That's why preserving, it's a little softer.
Yeah,
You mind
yeah.
changing? But just encourage and preserve agriculture.
I mean, I'm fine with hard language if you think that's what we're trying to do.
I think in this case, it's like we changed that zoning district definition. From the protected land to the preserved land.
Mhm.
Although I don't think you need to include the zoning in there, although actually, now I think about it, it's not bad because they could make a recommendation on their own. The town board wasn't asking.
That's what this means,
Yeah.
like, they can on their own, or if we ask them to.
This is a case where you might want to look at ECC language in the town's law, because it sort of outlines, one of their roles is to sort of be a suggester to the town board of environmental policies, things. Instead of reviewing land use policies, they could, instead of reviewing, they could just say, we think you should have a land use policy that says that X, Y, Z.
Right.
So it's not reviewing, so maybe you can take a peek at that language and that may come up with a better way to say this. I like 4. I mean, I agree. If the county ever moves forward with farmland protection,
They're working on it.
I know, they really are. Dennis keeps telling me they are.
One that I thought of that I didn't include is, and I don't really know the language to say this, but one thing I think that the agricultural advisory committee could do is to help promote the, ag district inclusion program
Mm-hmm.
in the town. Just like every year, we're like, there's this deadline, and if, they identified if they knew of operations that could benefit, then they could make sure that person got their application.
Are you on number 5?
No, I'm saying
Still about 4.
related to 4 would be kind of a separate charge, but that was one thing I thought about.
Number 5, I wonder about the word promote. I don't know if we should change promote to support agriculture and agriculture related enterprises. Promote just kind of, if we're not asking them to go out and market.
Right.
agriculture.
Support is okay with me.
I just don't want people to misconstrue they're not out there pushing farms.
Right, and why are you promoting that, but not my store?
Right.
Mary Lou, I'm gonna look for your advisement on 6. It's an advisory committee, and from what I remember from past research of advisory committees, they're not required to meet in public. I'm just saying what I remember. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there's, in terms of for this committee, right or wrong. They're not required to meet in public. They're not required to keep minutes. They don't have to have a quorum. But
Right. Unless you guys say they have to.
Yeah, I think they should be open. I
Okay.
don't know about requiring minutes and that.
Right,
Well,
but
there
I
should
agree.
be minutes because then we could, minutes are a good thing.
It's just additional.
I don't know about the standard required by the town clerk, but
Right, I don't think you want to put advisory boards and commissions, because commissions have state rules.
yeah.
I think you can just
How
put in.
about we
that
just say
they-
shall be subject to the open meetings laws?
Right, that's fine.
Is it a better-
And we can actually put in the section, Article 7 of Public Officers Law.
That's all I wanted is for them to be public.
And why don't we say minutes shall be prepared and filed with the town clerk?
Yep.
Because once they're filed with the town clerk, then they go up on. the website. So I think you can just say minutes shall be prepared and filed with the town clerk and then just that. 7 is fine. I think quarterly, because if there's not a lot of activity and farmers have lives and that are very seasonal. Well, we're saying 4 times a year. Should we say quarterly? Because 4 times a year, they could have 4 meetings in December
Yeah,
and never meet again.
we could say, or we could say monthly.
How about,
less.
but but no less than 1 meeting every 3 months,
Okay.
which is the same as quarterly. But it's a little more. Yeah. I'm fine with quarterly.
If we're gonna make this subject to open meetings law, we're gonna need to know when they are, and we're gonna have to advertise that.
Yeah.
So we have to say like, and provide notice to the town clerk.
Uh,
Probably about days, Brian.
schedule 2 weeks in advance. That's enough time to notice.
Schedule 2 weeks in advance and submit it to the town clerk.
Yeah, I mean, that whoever's the chair, that. You could say, and noticed. Instead of scheduled,
Appropriately,
noticed.
as required by New York State law.
Noticed as required by New York State law. Yeah, sure. That works. And I like the annual report. It kind of wraps up what they've done for the year.
The only other thing I thought of after I sent this, aside from the agricultural, is, I don't know how to say it, but keeping an inventory of our,
Agricultural properties.
yeah, and operations.
Look at the historic preservation code law, historic commission. There's a section there about keep maintaining an inventory of historical properties.
How about this? Draft. Complete and periodically updated inventory of parcels, a certified ag district, will be used for agricultural.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can send that to me? Or do you want me to, is that too hard for you? You can write. good
No, it's not
sentences,
hard
but
for
you
me.
can't-
I work in
No.
tech. I send emails all day.
Yeah, I like it.
Sitting Zoom
Okay,
meetings.
was there anything else to add to the charges?
No,
Yes,
but I like the maintaining, so. Go ahead.
I think, well, you already alluded to this, but outreach to owners of agricultural parcels, engage in agricultural activities, find by town code, to provide information about federal, state, local agricultural resources. So events, sponsoring, events, doing outreach. I think we-
Can we add that to the paragraph that has been changed to promote the support?
Yeah, I don't think we want to make it a requirement though, that they, because that's going to make it sound like they stay up on all programs and
Yeah.
stuff.
If we have someone who does that, we can. Will you send me that language and I'll see if I can. you can
Yeah.
change it So it's not,
Yeah, we say like when
Requirement.
possible, or
or like such as support.
Does Ag and Markets send out anything to farmers? I mean,
No.
the farmers that I knew growing up seemed to know about all the programs out there that they could join. And,
Well, the
you know,
Farm
admittedly, that
Bureau-
was-
The Farm Bureau is pretty
Yeah.
active here and do a lot of that. And then there's another farm lobby organization that,
Farm
So-
Bureau.
but the Hudson Valley Young Farmers Coalition also serves a purpose like that. So there's a lot of information that way, but also it's, there's like the NRCS high tunnel program and there's all sorts of
So
programs.
a lot
that-
of it just word of mouth.
It's word of mouth, and then also like, yeah, it's a lot of word of mouth or or the events. One thing I would love is if we did a farm tour that wasn't a historic. If we could do a-
Yeah, I don't know if it's appropriate for this group, but the school is trying to, they have that greenhouse there and
Yes,
they're trying, and it is in our town, and there are a couple teachers that are trying, and I think they did hire at one time a farm
yes, she still
greenhouse
does
coordinator.
that.
She still has it.
Yep, I
They
know.
were trying to find the funding for it, but when I was on the school board. And this, think potentially it could be an interaction.
Yeah,
I mean, we're creating this to be advisory to the town board, but that could sort of tie into the
yeah.
not promoting farming.
Is there a way to
Supporting.
show high school?
That's a great idea. You could say,
high school at 4-H.
it doesn't have to be an ex officio. You could say one member, maybe,
There is a club in the high school, my name is not coming.
Future Farmers of America, is that still there?
they actually have that. I didn't know.
They still have it?
Yeah,
That's
Wow.
great.
It was
Right,
big when
right.
I was there, but that was a long time ago.
Sort of done.
Oh, right. I'm not in tech.
So, yeah, why don't we do that with the 7 members? One member maybe,
Recommended.
put that energy. Somebody who's really interested in it.
So is that someone that would interview with the board, or is that someone they would?
What interview with us? I mean, if we're saying one, we're not doing it, in my suggestion, is we don't do them as an ex officio member, but we don't make it a mandatory, but it may be if we find the right student. I don't know. I mean, the school board has 2 student members that participate with the school board, but they're not voting members. And I don't know, maybe look at that idea of how to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the language of how that, I don't remember how it's set up. There are 2 students who sit, they're student members on the school board.
Oh,
we have to
so we
bake
could we could also just, as another
Yeah,
bullet, be like,
just add,
you can also fill 2 student
yeah,
members.
yeah, there you go.
Or they can nominate, maybe Rhonda can nominate students that are, if they can nominate.
I would,
I've got a question for you. I kind of love that idea, but it's an advisory board.
yeah.
Are students appropriate to advise us on agriculture?
Maybe.
Okay,
I know an awful lot of 16-year-olds who grew up with a farm and probably could
Mhm.
explain it better than some 50-year-olds.
That's the interview process.
Yeah.
Ask Councilman Paddock.
That's it. It's tough on these kids.
I mean, we allow on the ECC says members,
Yeah, it does
up
say
to
that.
some certain number of members can be less than,
A particular age.
yeah,
16 to 21.
16 to 21.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that's actually, that's from the state's model, I think. If I remember right, that's where it came from. I don't know. See how you can
Hey.
work, instead of making,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think they could be, not necessarily ex officio members, you could say up to two additional members, two additional non-voting members.
Yeah, this ECC says the town board may, notwithstanding any inconsistent provision of law, appoint up to 2 members to the council who are between the ages of 16 and 21.
There you go, borrow that language,
Unchased.
cut and paste.
Oh, this was so great. I'm so excited that we're.
No, thank you.
It's a great idea.
Taking it on, we've been talking about it for a while. And just, so, any other thoughts, comments? Okay, moving on. I'd like to ask if we take out of order and do the safety consultant RFP next while Kate's here, because I'd like to hear her thoughts on this. And then after that, when we get into the contracts and codes, I don't necessarily know that we need to Kate here. So is the board okay if we do that? Yes. Okay. So I took the one that we looked at and yep, and I made it have a Rochester version and emailed that to you. And I did print a copy for you, Kate. Oh, actually, I didn't. Well, but you can certainly look through it. Thought I had an additional. And I had to fill their logo with our logos. Got really big. It looks good. It does look good. It looks even better in color, but I wasn't going to print it in color. So I pretty much took theirs and, wherever it said, changed the TOR. I did make a couple changes. And I do see some changes that I missed. BPCAs. Yeah, I did a search and replace, but I didn't do it for BPCA, and I thought I found them all. Maybe. So, but that's an easy fix. So, Mary Lou, have you had a chance to look at this at all?
Well, not the thing that came at 6:01.
No, this didn't come at 6:01. This
Oh, that's-
came the other day.
Okay,
The
All right.
6:01, I sent the actual model code for the building instead of the marked up one that I did. So if you wanted to compare the state's model code with what I did.
right, okay.
That's what I
Yeah,
said.
I did, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but I did look through it. I think
I
it's
like it
fine. I
because it's
think most important thing is
concise.
to get it to Jerry for his comment.
This,
Oh, we're talking
not
about
talking about the building code, we're
consulting,
talking about the
Oh,
security consultant.
Oh, okay, yes. I did look at that. Sorry, I was
Okay.
on the wrong one. Okay. I thought you said
So-
code. I didn't know you said consultant.
Yeah, security consulting.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you got. It looks fine as to form. And it's up to you guys what you want them to present to you. And I think it's good the way you're doing it. Give us a general thing and we'll go from there.
Right, so this is a best value. Theirs was a best value setup. I kept it that, and I actually inserted our language best value because that's what it is. But
Mhm.
we would ask them to do a physical site assessment analysis, a threat and vulnerability assessment and analysis, recommendations for physical improvements, and then preliminary design of physical improvements. So we would ask them for a qualified package. We would have to decide when the date we wanted to do this on. Now, this being done by the organization that did it, it did have the MWBE and requirements and the diversity requirements. I don't think it's a bad idea for us to do it because, let's be honest, this is going to be a wider ranging search. This is a consultant. This isn't necessarily going to be somebody in Ulster County. It may be, but it's not necessary that the consultant who wins this award be local. I did say that they must live in New York, must be in a New York State company, only because the model I was using did. You can tell me if you like that idea or not.
Yeah, I think, if legislator Hewitt was here, he would give his praises and, follow through on it.
But I like having the MWB and the minority, you know, and we can, and the disabled veterans, it's just, in most state contracts, it's mandatory. So we would need to fill in on the timetable and designated contact. We would have to fill out the due date of the package. The restricted period, I don't know necessarily totally understand all that, Mary Lou, but I'm sure you can tell me. The 3C on page 3.
Let me just pull up the right one.
I'm sure it's standard contract language.
All right, 3C you said?
Yeah, the restricted period. But basically says they can't contact us and try to influence us while we're deliberating, is the way I read it.
Sorry, it's pulling up. Things are very slow on my other computer today.
The way I read it, it's saying that, you know, somebody after they submitted an RFP can't contact one of the board members and try to sell themselves on us.
Yep. I'm almost there. I'm scrolling.
Page 3.
Yep. All right. Oh, yeah, yes. That is what the finance law says.
Okay, that's
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, you know,
I think in this
on-
case, it's important.
on bids and proposals, as I said before, you have general municipal law, but you also have New York State finance law.
Okay. So that should definitely be in there then.
Yep, keep that in there.
I'm asking them for 7 paper copies. That's the 5 board members. That's Kate and that's Mary Lou. That's the 7. I think in this case, we do want paper copies. And then 1 PDF on a flash drive.
Yeah.
We're asking them to be printed on 8.5 by 11 paper, have numbered pages, be no longer than 15 pages. You don't want War
You
and
want a
Peace.
novel?
Tell us in 15 pages what you're proposing and be done with it. Cover letter, summary. Then the questions, so I literally cut and pasted, so you tell me if there's anything in there. I'm up to section page 5, A 1 through 7. Is there anything in there we don't want? Is there anything we want that's not in there?
You
I
want
think,
5 client references?
Every year, the other RFP we get is proud of the work that they've done. Can't wait to brag up.
I think 5 references in a security consultant is not
Okay,
a bad idea.
I think we can drop it forward.
Well, actually, I think 4 is important.
I think so
because-
too.
I'm thinking the active shooter training.
Yeah,
any of that
yeah,
stuff.
any type of training that they can offer as an additional to the consulting. I think it's important to know that.
That was a question I was gonna ask, are they gonna talk, also put in there types of training that should be done?
Well, I think that would be a second, so we're hiring them as a consultant at this
Okay.
moment. But if down the road, if they say, look, you should do an active shooter training, we can say, oh, we know you guys offer that. Can we hire you to do that? That's why.
Yeah.
Because a good security firm coming in and making recommendations, one of their recommendations probably would be to have an active shooter training.
Right.
Or you should have this type of training in place. So I think leaving it is good. So we're on page 5 there.
Thank you.
We're talking about letter A to see if there's anything we should change or have different. Seems like everybody's okay with what's there.
I don't know if we need 9 and kind of asks this company to do this.
Yeah, I don't think we need 9 either. That's a philosophy, not a. I think 11's not bad to know.
Yeah, hopefully the answer is just no.
Yeah, yeah. I was not, so in this proposal, I'm still on 5 there, 13, there was an exhibit B that listed all the board members and all the employees. Do you feel the need that I should do this? And if not, I'll remove 13. I did remove exhibit B from this example, which was a list of the board members on and a list of all the employees. Bearing in mind, this wasn't for a municipality, it was for a company. So I think we can just delete 13.
Yeah, I mean, if-
Yeah,
if
we've
there was
never
something-
had that.
And if there was something that were a conflict.
I could put that in the back.
Right, and yeah.
Tracy can bid on it.
Um, 14 is fine. I think we can leave it. I mean, I doubt, it's doubtful that anybody who's gonna assign is a former employee, but I don't think it hurts to have it. Now, the mandatory forms. Mary Lou, do you know what this New York State Standard Vendor Responsibility Questionnaire is?
I do not.
Have you ever heard of it? I will Google search it and try to find out what it
Yeah.
is between now and next meeting in the February meeting. The state finance law. I'll check what that is as well. The statement of non-collusion and I'm gonna add and TOR non-collusion form. Actually, instead of statement of non-collusion, I'll just say TOR non-collusion form, because we have our own non-collusion form that we use. Cross out whatever that language is. Do we want their financial statements or not?
Yeah, we haven't asked for anybody else's finance. We didn't ask the security company. We didn't ask for the.
I'm not sure why you would ask for it.
I'm sure we would understand if it's on.
Okay, so we'll remove that. Acknowledgement of addenda attached to exhibit C.
Mike, did part of this come from a state
Yeah.
Yeah,
proposal?
it was Battery Park City.
Okay. If it's a state project, that vendor responsibility is required by the controller.
Okay, that explains that.
It's an online form. It's
Which is that? Oh, the state finance law?
The New York State vendor responsibility.
Okay. We don't need that then, right?
Right.
The acknowledgement, receipt of all addenda to this RFP, if any are issued. So if the way the question section works. If any questions come in, I answer them and send them to anybody who's asked for an answer to any questions that come in, and it's all done in one document. And that's what the addenda is. Anything that's sent out after the RFP is issued. So, and we should have that in the, so I'll just create an acknowledgement of addenda. I think having their biographies is helpful. So I think we should have the for the appendices, especially in this case. The insurance requirements, I'll run them by Dwight, but I can guarantee you these are the standard numbers that he says every time. So I think insurance we can just skip over.
And that's just covering them while they're on our property.
Yep. Yep. And covering us while they're on our property. And then for them or any subcontractors, because they may subcontract out portions of this. So then the selection process, I added the words best value in there. But this is the step one. So committee members will score the evaluation criteria. The committee may consult an outside. So we'll decide. It says a committee of TOR employees, and I left it at that because I think in this case, rather than just the 5 town board members scoring it, we might want to have 3 town board members or two town board members, the town clerk, maybe, you know, various other, maybe one of the judges. I don't necessarily know who that committee, you know, scoring committee should be, and I don't think we have to say who it is. I think we can decide who that's going to be at any time.
Yeah, I think we definitely have people that are in the town building.
Yeah.
During the day.
And, you know, it could be all 5 of us if we want, but, you know, I think we want to make sure that we have a wide enough. And then each person would independent, just like we've done on all the other, each person would independently score those 4 categories. And then we would do the criteria. Now, this is not including a criteria for price. But Mary Lou, this doesn't mean that this is a consultant. We're not required to hire lowest price, but we're doing it by best
No,
value.
it's a professional services contract.
Yeah, so we're doing it by best value, so we can score this and then we can just, you know,
Do you want to go 50/50?
do we want to
50%?
include price in something somehow into this?
Yeah.
So let that weigh, your 4 criteria weigh 50% of the scoring, and then 50% of the scoring be price.
I worry about that because the way we've always done prices, we've ranked the highest to the lowest, and we've done a difference
Okay.
between the two. So the cheapest always gets a boost.
Yep.
And 50/50 sounds, to me, I would say 80/20 and make the price like 20 or 25%. I wouldn't go much higher than that.
The only thing is we get a wacky price, but it's hitting all the things.
But bear in mind, we can vary from that any time because this is a consultant. So we can decide that, you know, and what this is going to do is basically, so reserves the right to decide whether to interview any or all.
What is the,
So here, based upon the qualifications, TOR will select one or more step 1 to propose on a detailed scope of work. So we're going to do this, and out of that, we're going to ask for a detailed step, and then we're going to select the best out of the detail. So if that's the case, I'm maybe more inclined to go.
Well,
70/30. What did we do the building conditions?
we were thinking more fish. This kind of falls in line with that,
Yeah.
you know.
whatever we did with those,
I want to say it was 70/30. Well, I'll tell you what, rather than taking the time now, if you want to look, let's look at those 4 criteria though. Are you okay with those percentages? And then that would either be 60 or 70%. And then the price, I'll add in a section about the price like I did
right.
the other, and that would be the other 30.
And then how would those 4 criteria be affected by the
Those are phones.
Bonus, okay.
where's the bonus?
Oh, well, those aren't bonuses, sorry.
No, now those like four criteria would equal either 60 or 70% of your total score. But it would be of that 70%, 35% of it would be category A. Because remember, the total score doesn't have to add up to 100. It can add to whatever we want.
Right.
So these will add up to 100, and then the price would be another 20 or 30, or whatever proportional we did it to be, to make that ratio that we wanted, that we had to fish.
So how does the MWB and the SDV, DOB affect these numbers?
So it doesn't. In this case, you must meet the MWB. It's not a bonus. You must meet that criteria.
So if you don't have the criteria, you can't bid on a job?
Correct.
I didn't read about it.
So pursuant to New York State executive law, TUR is required to promote opportunities. So you intends to establish the following goals. So it's anticipated, so this is a goal that we're looking at. We could, when we get all the applications, say, we're only going to consider ones that meet this, or if we don't get enough, we can say, well, we're only going to consider them 25%. Or we could just take it out. Now, bear in mind, it's in there because, as Mary Lou said, and I didn't think about it, it's a state contract, it's mandatory. with the state
Right.
contract.
In the past, we've given bonus points or bonus
Yep.
percentage.
Would you rather do that?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
would.
okay, so I'll take out that section and I'll just include it, I'll use the same language. We'll do it as a bonus. Okay. So I'll take this contract and use the one for the IT consultant to merge the two together. Yep.
So we, when we reference law enforcement, enforcement board and law enforcement.
Yep.
We should say law enforcement agencies or security firms.
Okay.
A recommendation. I don't know why this prioritizes law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want somebody not applying because they don't work with law enforcement.
We got it. But you're okay with the 30, just the basis of the percentages, so 35% is their experience and expertise. And it used to say urban site security, and I changed the word rural to fit more us.
Yeah, the only one that seems high is staffing resources being at 20, maybe lower that to 15, but the experience up higher. I mean, I care more about how much they've done.
So go 40, 25, 20, 15.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say 35, 25, 25.
Oh. So that's the experience with the physical site. Yep, okay. I'm fine with that.
We have some weird security challenges here, so.
I am gonna leave the Iran Divestment Act, that is a New York State requirement.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna leave that.
But, on X or 10, I guess it's 10, Roman numeral 10,
Yep,
that's about state contracts.
okay, so I can delete the whole thing.
Yeah,
You got it. Okay. Everybody happy with that? I will, back to work and bring you, try to email you a proposal by the end of the month so we can talk about it at the February meeting. So, how does everybody feel? We don't need to say any more to that, do we?
He was already out the door. You're like.
I would like to know.
So Kate's leaving too. I'm gonna make a motion that before we get into all the codes. So when Kate can go, but we'll meet with Mary in executive session right now and talk about rather than leave it till after we've done the codes and we're all burned out. I'd like her to talk to us about the questions we had about conflict of interest with candidates.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session, invite our attorney, at 8:07 PM to discuss particular applicants for the ambulance budget, no, ambulance tax advisory. Ambulance district tax advisory. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay. If you wanna
Well,